welcome to the inaugural episode of Driving Data, where we talk about cool and interesting fleet vehicles for our fleet operators and the data available from those vehicles through the Geotab platform. Today, we're going to focus on the commercial van from Rivian, or the RCV, that was recently launched into the U.S. market. I've known our two guests from Rivian for several years, and it's great to have them as our first guests on Driving Data. We've got Tom Solomon, Vice President of B2B Growth and Business Development, and Brandon Blumberg, Director of Business Development at Rivian. So I'm going to start with Tom. Tom, we've been hearing about the RCV for quite a while. How long actually has it been in development?
Yeah, well, first off, Rob, thank you so much for the opportunity to come and speak today. It's been great, the partnership between Rivian and Geotab that we've developed over the past few years, and always a privilege to have the opportunity to talk about the amazing products that Rivian engineers are creating over here. But to answer your question on the RCV, I think first it's important to talk about where the van started. So a partnership late in 2019 between Rivian and Amazon. We just agreed to develop the electric delivery van, which we call the EDV. That's the version of the van that we sell to Amazon. That program kicked off in late 2019, and it launched in early 2022, making it one of the fastest automotive programs in history. Late in 2023, we came together with Amazon and said, wouldn't it be great if we, shared this vehicle with the rest of the world? So in partnership with one another, we agreed to remove the exclusivity they had on the product that we had designed. And then Rivian as a company really spent last year both preparing the RCV, the Rivian commercial van, which is what we call the van when we sell it to all other fleets, but more so to kind of prepare ourselves to onboard other fleets. From an infrastructure perspective, we've really heavily invested in service, but also from a processes and systems perspective in building that ecosystem of tools that we really need to have to support fleet customers. So really spent the last 18 months preparing for the RCV and happy to say we're starting deliveries any day now.
Fantastic. So I know when it comes to commercial vehicles, many times driver comfort and ergonomics kind of take a back seat to other vehicle features. I know you spent a lot of time to really make this a driver's van. So can you specifically talk a little bit about what makes it that way?
Yeah, 100%. We really took a lot of time early in the design process of this vehicle. Driving on routes with delivery drivers, kind of understanding what that day-to-day duty cycle was like and trying to create an environment that provided the utmost comfort and safety for them. So I think it starts with the fantastic visibility in the vehicle. There's no blind spots. You feel like you're really driving over that front bumper when you're in the seating position up high and kind of looking out in front of you. I think that's the first reaction we hear from drivers. The second is just the handling of the vehicle being incredible for a vehicle of that size. But we spent a lot of time, to your point, Rob, thinking about ergonomics. So a delivery driver may be getting in and out of that vehicle 150 times per day. So just the positioning of the seat, the positioning of the grab handles, the way the floor is laid out across the front of the cabin, the fact that there isn't a second passenger seat up in the front of the cabin really creates space for the driver. So our typical driver on a delivery route pattern puts the vehicle in park, which automatically opens the bulkhead door, so they can quickly walk into the cargo area, grab a package, put it under their arm, and then the way our curbside door opens, it's not a hinge door, a heavy hinge door they have to shoulder into. It's a pocket door with a sliding, slides in with a large handle that they can pull conveniently. And where we've laid out the grab handles on the vehicle, make it very easy. There's one up high as the driver's going down to egress from the vehicle. You can see the yellow grab handle in that photo there. And then as you come up, there's a lower grab handle that makes it very easy for the driver to grab onto and step back into the vehicle. So we've seen quite a bit of improved efficiency versus a traditional cargo van because of the way we've laid the vehicle out. In terms of driver comfort, just one or two more features. It's a big, comfortable seat, as you can see, but it's also patented microclimate seat. So it's both heated and cooled for the driver. The most efficient way to provide heat or cooling, especially when range is a consideration, is through either the steering wheel, which is heated, or the seat, which is both heated and cooled. So yeah, a lot of time and effort went into making this a driver's favorite vehicle.
Heated and cooled seats? Wow, you hardly ever hear about that in a fleet vehicle. That's awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I know there's two configurations for the RCV. What are the differences between those two?
Yeah, good question. So the names of our two Rivian commercial vans are the RCV 500, the RCV 700. The 500 and 700 are meant to represent the size of the cargo areas. The 500 is actually closer to 490 cubic square feet. The 700 is closer to 670 cubic square feet. The differences in those vans are not just the length of the vehicle. The 700 is about 30 inches longer, both in total length and from a wheelbase perspective, than the 500. But it's also 7 inches. The 700 is also 7 inches wider. So it's both wider and longer. So it depends on your needs. If you're trying to maximize cargo storage area, the 700 is the van for you. The 700 is the size that Amazon is primarily driving on the road here in the United States. The 500 is smaller, fits into a more traditional parking space, a little bit easier for inner city transit. So just depends on the need of the operator.
Great. Now let's talk about the business end of the RCV, where the money is made. What kind of upfit options are available for the cargo area?
Yeah, definitely. So this is something we've spent a lot of time investing in as well over the last year, is just building out that upfit network. But I think I'd start with the picture that's on screen now. So what you see there is shelving installed in the vehicle. It's a little harder to see, but there's also a rubber sticky cargo flooring in that vehicle. That's an upfit we can do right at the end of line in our plant, where you don't need to send the vehicle off to an upfitter. Is that shelving and flooring? That's really kind of the equivalent of the Amazon upfit that you see there. Separate from that, we recently published our upfit guide out on our website. So if you go to rivian.com/fleet, you'll see a link to our upfit guide that for any upfitters out there kind of shows you where you can and can't, what you can and can't do with the vehicle. But specific to our upfit program, we've announced our preferred upfitters at this point. It's a handful of companies at this point. It's Ranger Design, Sortimo, Bush Specialty Vehicles, Holman, Legend Fleet, and EV Sportline. And with those partners, we've kind of dug in and got our hands dirty to work through a number of different upfits. Some of the flavors of upfits that we've already presented or shown, last mile delivery upfits, including shelving and flooring, service van upfits. So Rivian actually operates a fleet of over 800 service vans today. We call them RSVs, or Rivian Service Van. Those are upfit with cabinets, drawers, tire mounting machines, quite a bit of equipment to provide service and maintenance to a fleet. And that upfit is available to third parties. We have some food truck packages. We recently showed off an ice cream truck we did with Ben and Jerry's. We've had quite a bit of inbound interest in replicating that design, and we have an upfit partner that we're working with to do that. And then we have other concepts that are in various stages of development, whether that be refrigeration, whether that be utility and telco packages, hydraulic lift gates. But we're exploring a lot in the world of upfit, because we know every fleet is a snowflake, and we say that lovingly. They're unique. They have unique needs. They have unique layouts that they need, and we want to be able to service as many of them as possible.
Great. All right, Brandon, you're up. Let's talk a little bit about some of the technology and data capabilities that make the RCV a great choice for fleets. Let me start off with just saying that we hear a lot about software-defined vehicles. What makes an SDV in your opinion, and would you put the RCV in that category?
Yeah, absolutely. And Rob, thank you so much for having us. I'm sure Tom, shared similar thoughts. We're excited about this partnership and to continue to evolve. Absolutely. Software-defined vehicle, I think is a little buzzy these days, but it's something we truly pride ourselves on. And honestly, we wouldn't be in the place we are today, commercially or non-commercially, if it wasn't for software-defined vehicle. Or I guess van. I guess the letter applies to both acronyms here. The way we look at that and the way we define that is when you can own and control every interaction, from unlocking the vehicle to opening the door to charging to acceleration, when that's controlled by software. We're in a very unique spot that we own and control that stack all the way down to the module level up through the entire technology stack on the vehicle. So whereas I'd say, most legacy automakers, have limited capabilities in terms of updating software on the vehicle. It was primarily around firmware or behind the scenes things, and it likely resulted in you having to go into the dealership and plug into a system to get that hard feed. What we're able to do is, we could adjust braking distance, we could push an entire software set, we could add features, we could remove features. It really allows us to fine tune any aspect of that vehicle completely by Rivian, without having to go through or proxy through tier one suppliers, having to submit change orders, requests. So it's a vehicle that was built intentionally, and it's a vehicle that gets better over time.
Great. So, the Geotab integrated solution for Rivian enables connectivity for all of Rivian's vehicles, all your EVs, through our integrated fleet management platform, my Geotab. But is there anything from a data or telematics standpoint that sets the RCV apart, perhaps from your other models, the R1T and the R1S?
Yeah, I'd say that, when you look at our platforms, we try to maintain consistency across the platforms, whether it's an R1T, an R1S, or now in RCV, a Rivian commercial van. But I would go more broadly on that question to say that the data and insights and analytics that we're able to pull off that vehicle, because we own and control that stack, because it's software defined, is really limitless. Today, I think that our focus has been very intentional to ensure parity with the other vehicles out there, right? I would say the likely scenario is that our current fleet owners are mixed fleet. They have a variety of other OEMs under their belt, likely accessing that information through my Geotab. So instead of overwhelming them with, hey, here are 600 extra things you could do on your RCV, we really wanted to make sure it was a seamless transition, because let's face it, there's a lot of change when you move over to electric. How do I charge it? How do I maintain it? How do I operate it? What are my residual values on it? All the above and more. So our focus right now was to share data, insights, and analytics via the My Geotab platform that's consistent with the other vehicles that they're likely already operating, to give them a break where we can in adopting new technology in a new vehicle. However, I will say, though, that, and back to my first point, it's really blue sky in terms of what we could generate and what we could provide. Everything from the ADAS signals to the fault codes to remote commands. But something we don't want to do is just provide data to provide it. I think it needs to be actionable, and there needs to be a use case there. And I think that comes back to what's the voice of that fleet operator? What is Geotab hearing across all their fleets? And then we as the OEM, how do we feel about that? And together, I think we could really build on and provide some really neat stuff coming off the vans.
Yeah, no, I think that's, where Geotab can provide great value. We've been in the business of providing fleets data for 25 years, so we have a good understanding of what fleet operators are looking for from a data standpoint. So I know Rivian can send over-the-air updates to its vehicles. How is that a benefit to a fleet operator?
Oh boy, this is one of, I would say, the cornerstones of our business, whether it's commercial or it's personal. We send monthly updates, and that's pretty wild. And I don't know how many people on the call really truly appreciate that. But one, from an engineering perspective, it's monumental to manage that. and push that out. But the downstream impact is so powerful because on a monthly basis, not only are we improving and tweaking little things on the platform level that we're continuously monitoring, little efficiencies, little optimizations, but we're also continuously improving the overall vehicle as well. New software technologies, new applications, new navigation, new safety features. We're able to do this all through over-the-air updates. So you don't have to go to the dealership, nor do we even have dealerships. So I'd say it's a service center. You're not going in, you're not disrupting your operations, you're not having to plug in. You're able to work with Rivian, and ideally, as Rivian and Geotab continue to expand this partnership, to modify that OTA schedule that fits your schedule. If you're delivering during the day, let's set that schedule so your OTAs are delivering overnight or only when you're on Wi-Fi so you can reduce your data costs. So I would say that there's really no downside, and it's all upside to OTA because it allows us to push anything we need to via the air over to the vehicle. It improves your vehicle over time, and it increases and maintains uptime on your vehicle because we're also fixing a lot of things over the air that would otherwise require you to have a service visitor go in. So it's a very powerful tool that we have.
No, that's a great point because, as we all know, a fleet vehicle is a revenue generating asset for a business. And so anything that can keep that vehicle on the road doing the job it's intended to do versus having to, sit in a dealer bay getting serviced or maintenance is tremendous. So, hey, Tom talked a little bit earlier about some of the safety features of the van, kind of some of the physical safety features, but what specific data can the RCV provide to our Geotab customers that can help them monitor the safety of their drivers and the vehicles?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, above and beyond, the basics, and we call them the basics, but they're really the gold standard in the industry. This van is equipped with all the latest and greatest technology. So 360 view camera, automatic emergency braking, lane avoidance, crash detection, first notice of loss with e-call. It has it all. So this is not just your random van driving down the street. This is basically like a top of the line vehicle that you'd otherwise purchase for your family. Now, all that and more is available via data and APIs. And I would say right now, what we're doing and what we're transmitting over to Geotab, specifically around the ADAS data and the fault codes, is very powerful. And I think that's something that, to your point, it's going to maximize uptime of these vans, right? If you have fault codes that otherwise you see on a telltale on the monitor, nobody really understands what those telltales are. You can go to 8 different dealerships. All 8 of them are going to tell you something else. When we're able as the automaker to decipher that, leverage that and compare it to the behavioral aspects of the vehicle, and then serve that up as an actual insight to say, oh, it's just low tire pressure warning, or, oh, hey, it's X, it's Y, it's Z. It makes it very, very, very impactful. So the van itself is safe, and then all the data and insights and analytics coming off that van not only allow you to operate a safe fleet, but they allow you to pass down those sort of safety savings to your employees as well. That van is a representation of your business. It likely is wrapped with your company. And your number one asset is your human capital. So not only can you preserve the asset, but you can preserve your employee as well, and really showcase and pat yourself on the back to say, hey, I'm putting you in a state-of-the-art safety vehicle here, that the van itself is safe, and all the data and analytics behind the scenes can help continually coach and provide a awesome working condition.
Yeah, and that plus, just the ergonomic factors that Tom mentioned really, probably has another benefit that, you may not think about that much, but driver retention. I mean, drivers like driving this van. I mean, and granted, I know that the Amazon van is a bit different, but, one day I just asked an Amazon guy, that pulled up, delivered a package to my house, and he was in the Rivian van. I asked him, what do you like about this? And he couldn't stop saying nice things about it. But the one interesting thing he says, you know what? I like when I pull up to someone's house, I'm not constantly turning the ignition on or off. It just kind of, they stop, they get out, they get back in, and they go again. So stuff like that maybe, the everyday person doesn't think about, but is a huge deal to fleet drivers.
It's an underrated feature, I would say. As an EV owner myself, you get so accustomed to never turning on or off your vehicle. And, I rent a car, I go get in an ICE vehicle, and then I'll walk out and leave it running. I'm like, oh, wait, there's a button. Sorry.
All right. So one more question for you, Brandon, and then we'll jump to a couple of Q&A things here. So in a recent survey, fleet managers said that they remain committed to electrification, but they really want better data tools around EV costs and battery health, over time. How is the Geotab Rivian integrated data solution providing some of those answers?
Yeah, I'd say that this is a hot button right now, and this is a trend that we're seeing across our partners, as well as across our fleet customers. That's sort of the unknown right now in terms of, hey, okay, I'm going to make this investment into likely or relatively speaking a more expensive vehicle, and we have all the calculators to show, hey, this is actually a fantastic ROI based on the reduction of maintenance, the increased uptime, whatever, you name it, right? But then another piece comes in is, what about end of life? What is the battery duty cycle look like? How long is it going to last me? What is the degradation going to look like? And, I think that through our partnership with Geotab, where we can leverage the data and telematics coming off the vehicle, paired with the behavioral operation aspects of that vehicle, fed into an algorithm that we could then provide and showcase that insight through my Geotab, I think it's awesome, because now these fleet operators can get a snapshot on not only the real-time sort of current health of the vehicle, but also the overall health of the vehicle and fleet, to say, hey, if I keep maintaining it this way and I keep optimizing, this vehicle is not only going to far surpass the life of any other vehicle, but in the event I'm ready to cycle off or defleet, I'm going to be able to get top dollar for my vehicle here, because I can now show that the overall health is graded at an A, a B, whatever grading system we collectively come up with. So that's a great example, Rob, of another partnership opportunity where we can come together to support the downstream fleet operator.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to go to our first question here, and it's Tom. I'm going to direct this one to you. What is the range of each version, the 500 and the 700, when loaded with payload, and also if you know what the GVWR is of each?
Yeah, so range of the vehicles, it's actually 160. This is based on the EPA test cycle, 160 miles of range on the RCV 700, 161 miles of range on the RCV 500. GVWR in both vehicles is 9,500 pounds. Payload's close to 2,350 on the smaller van and 2,350 on the larger van and 2,650 on the smaller van. You won't see a material impact on range from having the vehicle at GVWR, as long as you're not impacting the aerodynamics of the vehicle. So as long as everything's inside of the cargo area of the vehicle, you may see a couple percentage points of impact on range. But that cycle already takes into account that the vehicle is fully loaded at the start of the shift, that test cycle to get to the EPA range. And then it kind of runs through a real world duty cycle where with each passing hour, there's less payload or less cargo in the vehicle, and the payload is being removed from the vehicle.
And next question is, can you share more specifics about the Rivian Geotab integrated solution, where more information is available? I mean, I can say that on the geotab.com website, if you go to our OEM solutions page and you click on the Rivian logo, it'll take you to all the specific information about our integrated Rivian. But also, Tom or Brandon, I'll throw this out to either one of you, but if people want to know more about the product, maybe how they could, perhaps talk to somebody about putting that in your fleet, what's the best route to take for that?
Yeah, so the best path is to reach out to us on our webpage, rivian.com/fleet. We've got both a contact us form and a start a fleet order form. Either one of those will get you in touch with one of our fleet sales representatives who are experts in both our fleet products, but also dealing with fleet operators, and can help you both with information and walk through a transaction process with you as well.
Awesome. Great. And thanks, Randy Reed, for those questions. Randy's one of our great partners at Geotab, so we appreciate your involvement. All right, well, that's all the questions that we have. So I'd like to thank my guests, Tom Solomon and Brandon Blummer, and for all of you who joined us today. Be on the lookout for the next episode of Driving Data. I'm Rob Minton, and thanks for watching.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, everyone.